I always knew that this could happen, and I always thought that there was a need for it. For so long, I wanted to do something for everyone else. If you can do something like this here, it's a microcosm of what you can do in real life and what you can do outside of Penn State. My name is Alex Shimon. I'm the president and co-founder of the Penn State Sports Business Conference. I was reading the Sports Business Journal and I saw an article about the Michigan Sports Business Conference, and as I read it, it said it was entirely student run, and the Sports Business Journal really hyped up the conference. I said, wow, this is really impressive. Why doesn't this happen at Penn State?
And he came to me and said, we ought to have a sports business conference here at Penn State.
I think this is really scalable at Penn State. Would you be interested in kind of being the faculty advisor?
I said to him, well, that would be nice, but we don't have as big or as established program as Michigan has in sports business.
Come back to me when you have a full student team that's willing to do this.
I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to do it right. And then he was going away to Spain to study abroad.
I will call you every single week. I will send you emails. I will join every meeting via Skype. You have my word, I'm committed to this.
I said, you've got to have the team put together before you go. And he said, I will, and I'll work on it when I'm over there in Spain. I said, okay, well, prove it to me. And he did. He put the team together that quickly, and I was surprised that he could do it that quickly.
Alex, brought the idea to me, said it was something he was thinking about, something he met with Professor Powell about, and asked me if I wanted to really, make it happen with him. We have worked together before, so I think that, along with, our friendship, is why he came to me. I realized it's something that could be, huge for the school.
It was winter break now at this time, and I sent an email with a Google form to almost every professor from a different major, because I wanted a student from every major to work on something else. And then I saw there was 25 students interested, so I conducted interviews with all these students over winter break, and I got on the phone with them and kind of just had a conversation, asked them a few questions.
The idea was that he wanted someone who was interested in event planning and had a passion for event planning.
Alex told me in an email that he wanted me to be the director of public relations, so take charge of that whole department. And if I wasn't interested, I could take on something else, but I knew that that was most relevant to what I wanted to do, and I thought that I would probably be pretty good at leading a team of people.
I am Jake Scheinman. I'm a marketing major here at Penn State, an entrepreneurship minor, and I was the chief marketing officer for the Penn State Sports Business Conference.
My name is Carly Gould, and my position with the conference was that I was the director of social media and marketing strategy.
I printed out a full agenda, just step by step of what needs to be done at this point, and I printed out a copy for everyone that was on the executive team, including the executive professors. Believe in me, trust me, this will pay dividends if we can pull this off, I promise you that.
From the start, I knew that this was going to happen. Alex was so driven, had such a clear vision, and I was happy to be a part of that.
I will be completely honest, I can't say that I was completely confident in what this was going to become. I knew that there would be an outcome. He seemed like a really driven guy, but I didn't think at all that it would amount to what it became.
We wanted to get a date and venue locked in. The second thing, which I really thought was important, is establishing an executive board of advisors, so not professors, but industry professionals. I think there's 8 or 9 total. I'm asking for their time. I wanted it to be more of what they wanted to put in.
Our very first job as an executive committee was to get the professors to realize that this was going to happen and that we wanted this to happen.
We just kind of went over basic logistics and what Alex envisioned this conference to be.
At first, it was a lot of different kind of flyers that we were sending to speakers. I'd make something and send it out to the team, hey, what do you guys think? And they'd come back to me.
We were posting on our Instagram constantly, tweeting, putting things on Facebook, having our family and friends like those pages, making sure everyone on the team was promoting those. I wanted to make sure that we were publicizing this on campus as much as possible so that when students were walking around, they were seeing posters, they were hearing people talk about it, and they knew what it was.
People were constantly messaging us, trying to figure out how they could be a part of this, how they can get here, even if they didn't go to Penn State. So those forms of social media were really helpful, especially for students who didn't maybe necessarily go here.
Making sure we had registration set up, to had enough food for people, for seating.
Creating a website for the conference, doing all of that, making sure that our registration link was on there so we can get leads from the site.
And we ended up coming up with a theme, potential speakers, potential sponsors. So that was really the first initial step we had to take in order for this to happen.
Everyone kind of worked hand in hand. If anybody else needed help with something else, we were all there as a team to help each other.
Like I told my team, like if we follow every step, we'll prove to everyone why this was so valuable. From the university standpoint, everyone loved the idea, but they pretty much wanted me to be the guinea pig, and they just said, okay, like, this is a proof of concept. They said, go get money from corporate sponsors.
I helped them put together a sponsorship proposal and then worked with them on dealing with companies.
The worst thing they're gonna say is no. So it doesn't matter if it's Kiwi frozen yogurt or the bookstore, like those companies could value from getting in front of 300 students. And then we went into the station, which is the apartment complex downtown. I had a previous relationship with them. I walked in, I had the younger kids on the team kind of listening to like my pitch, listening to like what we were trying to sell, and we walked out with a $500 sponsorship.
There was a couple of points in time when I thought that we had reached some very important plateaus. One was when we got AT&T and Dick's Sporting Goods to sign on as sponsors.
We had different sponsorship levels, and Dick's came back with like their own number, and we were willing to work with them on that, and just like thankful that Dick's and AT&T bought in also, because I don't think it's easy for a company to sponsor an event that's never been done before.
So that gave us a significant amount of money that we needed to actually do this conference. The second important plateau that we reached, which really made me feel good about it, was when Kim Pegula signed on to be the keynote speaker.
Getting Kim Pegula was like the icing on the cake of this whole conference, and she was like the one speaker we really wanted.
Just followed up with all of the people that he wanted to be speakers.
He had us emailing some of them and staying in touch with them leading up to the conference.
If they said yes, I would follow up with an email like, okay, I'm confirming that you're attending Penn State Sports Business Conference on this date, you'll be arriving this time, and I would just have to, every 2 weeks, send an email to these people to make sure that they're coming.
And then shortly thereafter, Abe Madkour, who was the executive editor of Sports Business Journal, agreed that he would also participate.
When Coach Franklin came in to speak, Alex went over and introduced himself. I came over with his mic to mic him up and went to shake his hand. I was like, oh, Coach, thanks for coming, great to see you. And then like buzzed in on my thing. I was like, okay, we have the coach, like we're bringing him down. He goes like, whoa, like Secret Service guy? I was like, yeah, like you're a big deal, like it's important.
They were constantly coming up to us team members and saying, this is fantastic, you guys are doing a great job. I'm so amazed. Giving positive feedback all over the place. They really seemed to be enjoying themselves. They were intermingling amongst themselves and amongst the general attendees. So that was really, really satisfying and rewarding.
Some of the places that we were looking for, we were talking about doing it at the Penn State or Nittany Lion Inn. Big issue was finding a venue with a large auditorium and also breakout rooms and kind of a foyer for us to take over for the day and serve luncheon.
From the beginning, I wanted Beaver Stadium.
We were all thinking, yeah, it'd be awesome to have a sports business conference in one of Penn State's sports venues.
The Thursday before the Michigan game, we had a meeting with the athletic director, Sandy Barber, about the conference. And we ended up talking to her about potentially getting the president's suite.
We were asking for her support and for her sponsorship in the event, and doing so would allow us to have Beaver Stadium.
She said to submit a proposal, and we did, and a couple months later we found out that we could have the president's suite. All
of the ideas that we wanted to do happened, even though we didn't think they were going to. We were like, oh, let's do a tour, and then we were like, oh no, that's not going to happen. And then we're like, okay, let's turn on the scoreboard with our logo. We're like, oh no, that's not going to happen. But it did.
Everyone came to Beaver Stadium. We led a walkthrough.
And we did like 3 or 4 different IT walkthroughs of the law building with Alex, Jake, and myself and some of the law building people.
I was sitting in the back in the AV room, doing the lighting, switching the PowerPoints, making sure the videos were all queued up. That's the one job, if it goes right, no one's going to say anything, but if it goes wrong, it could be a disaster.
I believe I ran to Walmart Thursday morning, the day before the conference, to make centerpieces for the event.
Printing out 275 name tags and stuffing them, to making sure we had a booklet for everyone. So many little things like the 2 weeks before would just pop up that me and Alex would look at each other and be like, we had no idea this was ever going to be a problem or didn't even think about it.
Broke everyone into teams. They had specific jobs and duties that they had to do throughout the weekend.
We had full reign to just organize and run our event, which I thought was really, something to take advantage of.
When the conference came, I said it the minute we walked into the building. I was like, I can't believe this is here. This is bigger and better than I could have ever expected.
So day of the conference, I was the head of all IT.
I did start off both days of the conference at registration, just making sure everyone was checked in, had their credentials, and was ready to go. And then as soon as it started getting busy, I ditched that table and I was up by the stage at the auditorium the whole time, right next to all the speakers, right next to Alex, and there for whatever was needed.
I was really all over the place, like running around from 6 o'clock in the morning until 5:30 at night.
It was a lot of people and a lot of professionals, probably 300 plus people were there, and it's a lot to manage.
It was just a great feeling, especially to see people with the booklet in hand that we spent so much time putting together.
We thought we would sell 250 tickets. It became so popular that we sold over 275, maybe up to 290 tickets before we actually had to cut it off.
People told me they wanted to run through a wall after Coach Franklin came up. People said the Women in Sports panel made me think about something completely different. To hear that was the best feeling in the world.
Looking back, I really can't say that there was any problems the day of the conference. Everything went exactly how we planned. It was super smooth.
For days even afterwards, I got messages from people just saying how incredible this event was and wanting to be part of it next year. How can they be involved with the team? And just how outstanding it was. And it was such a rewarding feeling.
Every single thing our team thought of was executed. The only bump in the road was that Coach Franklin's team said he was going to speak for 15 minutes and he spoke for 45.
We really showed the school that there is value in educating students about breaking into the sports industry.
I mean, it was a huge success.
It went perfectly. Like I couldn't say a bad thing about it.
Throughout the day, people kept coming up to me and saying, this was easily the best event I've ever been to at Penn State.
We had 20 kids who all believed in this vision and were working together to make it possible.
It just shows if you build the right team, you work hard enough, and you're persistent and passionate, then you can be successful.
We took something from the very beginning, from a vision into a reality, and that it actually happened.
I think we really showed how many successful people are working in sports business.
I think Alex will certainly be remembered for being the mind behind all of this and for really using his determination and his drive to everyone's advantage.
His work ethic is unmatched. I don't think anyone works as hard as him, and you can tell that it paid off. So I'm really proud to be a part of the team. I'm proud to be Alex's brother, and I just got to say thank you to him for putting this all together.
We did year one, and now it's how can year two be better?
This was the inaugural event, and our plan is that we will continue with this.
I think for the next few years, I think the conference is definitely going to grow. I would love to come back next year and see, more people in a bigger space with more diverse speakers.
I think that one day it's not just going to be a side thing that a few students put together in a building once a year. It's going to be the whole school is anticipating. They know that Penn State has a sports business conference and it's a huge deal.
I think because it went so well that students will come back. I think professionals, we already had people say, sign me up for next year.
I think that the student team that we have that are coming back to work on the conference are going to do a really great job in the next years and making sure that this happens even better than it did this year.
I think the people that are younger and working on this next year honestly have it cut out for them because they have it's a high standard.
To every student who's interested, go for it, do something like this, get involved, it pays off, and There's going to be challenges and hiccups along the way, and there's going to be weeks that you don't want to do anything because you're too overwhelmed with school or personal things, but that's life, and this is just preparing you for the real world, and it will be worth it.
Thank you to this team for working so hard and being together and getting so close and really just making this vision become a reality.
It's only going to grow from here, and the legacy is only going to continue. We'll see you in 2019.